let's face it, I'm getting old, and I'm getting very slow to stay competitive, so to give me the edge, I've decided to incorporate these little buggers into my gameplay. Thus this tutorial. Firstly, I'll go through the general usage, then later on more stats and opinions on the weaponry with the fancy graphs. So firstly, the basics. AT Infantry can completely change games, because they can kill any units really with their huge penetration for the relatively cheap price, approximately 70 to 90 MP depending on the nation. The problem is, with them you rarely get the chance to be in a good position to kill units due to their small range at about 30 to 35 in direct control, and when they are in range they do have a decent chance of missing. That's why I've nicknamed them the casino weaponry. They also do require a bit of micromanagement. That being said, these guys are relatively cheap for penetration, though I would recommend these units not be your sole tank vehicle killer, especially not at the start, because at the start of the game a purchase of AT Infantry may be cheap, but every MP counts and will slow you down to purchase more hard counter units such as infantry killers like the looks, or a tank counter for an infantry killer. I've added these AT Infantry to my support troops later in the game, and they can change the game around. So secondly, usage. Of course, these guys are more accurate when proning and staying still, and also better at shooting closer range. The normal AT Infantry found in the Specialized tab, they're decently accurate on the move and shooting, so you can double right click on a tank and it will run at it and fire off, and it may have a chance of hitting, may not. Note in direct control, these guys are very accurate, so if you get the chance and time, do direct control them. Positioning. So I do love to use these guys especially below the hill, because they're quite easily spotted and they don't usually get into the range of the hit. If you camp above a hill or just below a hill, the enemy vehicle that comes up the hill will be already in range, so you can take it out. You can also hide behind bushes, in little craters, or use AT Infantry behind a building to ambush, or pop out and take a shot and run back behind the building to cover. To save in micro, another trick with this, you can drop the SMG on the ground. Usually there's a problem with when it's fighting infantry and there's a tank on the field. The AT Infantry guy will change to a submachine gun and start firing at the infantry, when in fact the more important thing to do is get the bazooka out and shoot the tank. So I just throw the SMG out, or just hold fire and direct control it. Also note that I do differentiate special point infantry with the normal specialized soldiers infantry one you buy with your normal MP points, because I think those stealth ones, such as the Brandenburger 2-pointer for Germans, the 2-pointer Devil Brigade for USA, are a staple AT infantry unit, and I'm comfortable using these as the only AT defense of my entire army. The other ones, I use them as support, so they're just secondary. Right now, that's my new thing I've done. So the difference is they're very consistent in killing things, because you have time to line up your shot because the enemy cannot see you. I'll go over all this more in the stealth tutorial. So anyway, that's the basics. Here's the detail or the stats on the AT Infantry. Firstly, I like to go through the types of weaponry you have. So I've put the Type AT rifle, or the Type 2 AT rifle in here, because it's actually a weapon that doesn't lose its penetration over time. I'm not sure if it's a shape charge round or not, but it will always have the same penetration. So its penetration is around 40. So it's actually quite decent. It comes in the 1-pointer special core, AT Infantry for Japan. It's not used very often, but I've actually incorporated this to my game because I find the SSD quite hard to use personally. I just can't really control it very well. But this guy can even penetrate a Sherman, Crusader AA 40mm, and it can shoot in an arc, meaning it can shoot over a hill, over a little wall or building. I think it's not too bad. Then you have the Type 4, that's normal AT Infantry. Then you have, for Japan, then you have the bazooka, which the USA and Soviet AT Infantry use. Then you have the recoilless M18, which is the Rangers AT weaponry for USA. Then you have the Piat, which is the UK's infantry, AT Infantry. And then you have Panzerschreck, which comes in the German normal AT Infantry. Then you have the Panzerfaust, which comes in the 1-pointer special AT Infantry for Germany, and also 2-point Brandenburgers. and also, sorry, the Panzer Grenadiers. I forgot to mention the bazooka also comes with the Devil's Brigade, which is a stealth unit on the USA team. So here's the penetration. Obviously the Type 2 AT rifle is the worst. It's very cheap, but the good thing is you'll see later it's got bigger range. Then you have the Type 4, decent penetration at 150. So you can see how much these buggers do penetrate. If they do hit, if they get in range, they can kill nearly every tank. To be honest, in a 1v1, you should not worry about this at all, because everything penetrates everything, except obviously the Type 2 AT rifle. You just got to be wary to hit the sides of some of the medium tanks. So there it is in penetration stats. Panzerfaust is the biggest penetrator at 200 mil, and Panzerschreck is at 180. Then you have the Axis really over penetrate, as you can see. Recoilless, I guess, is the lowest penetrator at 100. But you can see at 100, it can even penetrate a veteran Tiger. You just got to make sure the veteran Tiger is not angled, and it can penetrate it. Other than that, penetration I don't think is too important, to be honest, in actual gameplay. The most important thing is actually getting in range. That's the problem with AT infantry, getting in range. So there you go. On the note of range, we have the Type 2 AT rifle of Japan. This is the 1-pointer special. They have the most range. And it makes a big difference in terms of AT infantry, how much range. In tanks, it doesn't make that much of a difference because it's already quite large. But when you're talking about 40 to 45 or 30 to 45, it's a big difference. So AT rifle, the problem with that is it is inaccurate and the penetration's low. I find with this unit, you do have to aim kind of in the middle. I think this is one to watch out for. This is something that can be added to the meta, I think, or added to someone's game. Type 4, Bazooka, Piat, Panzerschreck, all the same range. Panzerfaust is actually meant to be 30, so it's the smallest range. I guess just go through all of these. They're pretty much all the same. Piat's very unique for UK AT infantry because it can shoot on an arc, and it's actually not bad to actually kill infantry too, because you can shoot it so it lands on the infantry. Panzerfaust, it's also shooting in an arc, but not as accurate. Just gotta also recognize that the stealth units use Panzerfaust, like the Brandenburgers. That's very important. And also stealth units for Devil's Brigade, they use the bazooka, which is very important too. Another thing to note, obviously, is the recoilless rifle. It's got 5 range extra. It's a big difference though. So it's much easier to hit a target at 5 extra range, trust me. That's why I do like the recoilless rifle for the USA Rangers. So that's the range, guys. It may look like a small difference, but it is a big difference moving up. Okay, this is how fast the speed of the projectile goes to the target. In my opinion, the speed doesn't matter as much. I think mainly for really fast targets like light vehicles, they're all pretty much similar speed. Even when you right click, even with a Panzerfaust on a light vehicle, the AI kind of tracks it and shoots properly. It probably matters the most in direct control, because when you're shooting, you have to estimate a bit where it lands, or the AI estimates better. Thing is with this though, the speed does affect the accuracy somewhat, I think. I find the recoilless rifle does perform better in terms of being able to hit moving targets. But generally, I think it doesn't matter. The speed doesn't really matter. Okay guys, I'm not going to give a total score for AT weaponry, handheld AT weaponry, because it's just way too hard. They don't really correlate to each other at all, I think. Speed doesn't really matter. The arc, I don't know how much to weight it. The accuracy, hard to weigh up. The range as well. Penetration doesn't really matter in my opinion in most games, except for the AT rifle. Obviously, if you're over 100, it's definitely good enough. I'll just talk about in general, I guess, my opinions. So Panzerfaust, look at the penetration, Jesus, can kill anything, but it's inaccurate. The only thing I like about these guys is because they come in with the Brandenburgers, and you can take your time to shoot. I mean, you can take your time to shoot, it doesn't matter if you're inaccurate or not, because in direct control, you can hit the mark. They do have, I suppose, the slowest range. That should be 30. Sorry, guys. And it can shoot in an arc. Panzerschreck, they're 90 MP. I think they're quite expensive, to be honest. Not a huge fan because I can rely upon the Panzerfaust already. Piat, I quite like this one. It shoots on an arc, which is very unique and can kind of hide behind hills and shoot, even shoot behind hills, shoot behind a little ditch or inside a ditch or over a little stone wall. So that can be very, very effective for some tricky shots where you can't get hit. Reclose rifle, I love this as well. As you'll say, this is actually my favorite AT weaponry. It's got extra 5 range only, but I think it makes a huge difference to hitting the target. Yeah, it can kill a target. You just got to position it right, hit the target frontally. You've got it. Bazooka, USA Soviet. I guess they're okay. Type 4, I guess it's okay. They're all pretty much the same. Type 280 rifle, I think, is something that I will use more often. It's something I like to see more of. I think people are using the SSD or kamikazes a lot, but this guy, with the range it has and the way it can shoot in an arc, I think it may be effective. It just hasn't been used that often. So those are my opinions, guys. I am incorporating this into my game more. I'm finding I'm getting much slower in my movements as I'm getting older, have less time to practice, and I feel I need to buy these to actually stay competitive. Thing is, these do take quite a bit of micro, so as long as you can micro this, I think they're great support units. I wouldn't use this as a sole AT killing weaponry, unless you want to use the stealth guys. Sorry, I forgot to mention the USA Bazooka guys with the Devil's Brigade. They're awesome too, because you can take your time. With the stealth guys, I think you can rely upon them to actually kill tanks and counter tanks. So you can kind of bait with the Brandenburgers. You can use the looks to bait a tank to kill your looks, but you have your Brandenburger waiting to shoot it. That's when I think you can rely upon. The other ones, it's hard to get in range. If you do get in range, you may miss. Hard to direct control either. So the others, I'd never put them in my gameplay because they were too hard to micro. I couldn't be bothered, but now I have to, so I'm buying them. Anyway, guys, bit of fun. Not really useful in terms of the stats because they're pretty much all good. Those are my opinions. So, yeah. See you around.